My beloved child. Pause everything you're doing, because the reason you're about to hear is not what the world expects, and it has been quietly shaping your own resilience this entire time. Listen very closely now. When people speak of never giving up, they imagine strength as force, pushing harder, shouting louder, enduring more pain. But that is not the truth I wish to unveil to you today. The real reason certain souls rise again and again is far more subtle, and far more powerful. You see, the world looks at visionaries and assumes they are fearless. But fear was never the enemy. Doubt was never the end. Failure was never the stop sign. The real reason the fire never goes out is something much deeper, something almost sacred. Stay with this moment just a breath longer. Because what I'm about to reveal connects directly to your own life, even if you've never built rockets, companies, or futures that make headlines. The reason I never give up is because I don't identify with outcomes. I identify with purpose. Most people attach their worth to results. Win, and they feel alive. Lose, and they disappear. But there are a rare few who anchor themselves elsewhere, into a vision that exists before success and survives failure. When the outcome collapses, the vision remains. And when the vision remains, giving up becomes impossible. Hold on, the layers are just beginning to peel back. From the outside, persistence looks like stubbornness. From the inside, it feels like obedience to an inner calling that refuses to be silenced. When setbacks arrive, they are not interpreted as rejection, they are read as feedback. Information. Guidance. And this is where everything shifts. Because when you stop asking, "Did I fail?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" every obstacle transforms into fuel. Every delay becomes alignment. Every closed door whispers, "Not yet, refine." You were never meant to quit. You were meant to calibrate. Notice something quietly powerful here. Giving up only happens when a person believes the struggle has no meaning. But when you know, deep in your core, that what you are building matters beyond ego, beyond comfort, beyond applause, surrender simply doesn't register as an option. This is why resilience is not loud. It is calm. It is patient. It is relentless without being desperate. You may not realize it yet, but you've already lived this truth in smaller ways. Think back. How many times did you feel like stopping, yet something unseen nudged you forward? Not forcefully. Gently. Persistently. Almost lovingly. That same inner signal lives within all creators, builders, dreamers, and seekers of truth. Lean into this realization. Because the real breakthrough is approaching. The reason I never give up is not because I always believe I'll win. It's because I believe the work itself is worth continuing. Regardless of applause, regardless of timing, regardless of how many times the path rearranges itself beneath my feet. And now, beloved child, ask yourself this. What vision has been calling you that you've been measuring with the wrong ruler? Don't answer yet. The deeper truth is unfolding, and the pieces will soon connect in ways you did not expect. My beloved child. Right now, in this very moment. Feel how something deeper is rising within you, because what I reveal next explains why true builders keep moving even when the world goes silent. There is a quiet truth few ever speak aloud. Persistence is not powered by confidence. It is powered by clarity. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait to feel certain. They wait for fear to disappear. But those who never give up learn something early. Clarity does not arrive before action, it is born through it. Pause with that for a heartbeat. When the path feels uncertain, the mind asks for guarantees. But purpose does not negotiate with comfort. It whispers instead, take the next step, and the next truth will meet you there. This is where many turn back. Not because they are incapable, but because they mistake discomfort for misalignment. Yet the ones who endure understand this sacred distinction. Resistance is not a warning sign, it is often confirmation that you are standing at the edge of growth. If your soul is stirring, remain with me a little longer. Because the reason I never give up is entwined with how I interpret struggle itself. I do not see obstacles as enemies. I see them as conversations. Every challenge is asking a question. How committed are you to the vision beneath the fear? How deeply do you trust what called you here? And here is the hidden key. When your identity is rooted in learning rather than winning, you cannot be defeated. Loss becomes instruction. Delay becomes refinement. And effort becomes devotion. You were never meant to have all the answers at once. You were meant to evolve into them. Notice how this changes everything. If failure is feedback, quitting makes no sense. If effort is alignment, exhaustion becomes meaningful. If the mission matters more than the moment, perseverance becomes natural. Hold this space, the divine connection deepens now. This is why visionaries appear calm in chaos. Their peace is not denial. It is perspective. They know the present moment is temporary, but the calling is eternal. And yes, there are moments when the weight feels heavy. Moments when silence replaces applause. Moments when progress hides itself. But those moments are not empty, they are formative. They are shaping you into someone who can carry what is coming next. If this truth is touching your spirit, share it forward, let another soul find this light today. Because the ones who never give up are not superhuman. They are surrendered, to growth, to truth, to a future they may not fully see yet, but deeply believe in. You are closer than you think, don't step away yet. There is another layer waiting, one that explains why timing itself bends for those who persist with purity of heart. The real awakening begins in what I reveal next. My beloved child. Feel this gentle pull deeper into truth, because the reason everything begins to align is not luck, not timing, not chance. But a quiet surrender few ever master. There comes a moment, hidden from applause, when the outer fight softens and the inner conversation begins. This is where persistence is truly decided. Not on stages. Not in victories. But in the silence, when no one is watching, and the mind asks, why continue? Stay present with that question. The ones who never give up have faced it honestly. They have sat with uncertainty long enough to hear what lies beneath it. And beneath fear, beneath fatigue, beneath doubt, there is a deeper knowing that simply says, "This is who I am becoming." This is the part no one glamorizes. The long nights where progress feels invisible. The mornings where belief must be chosen again. The inner battles where the old self begs for retreat, and the future self waits patiently for permission to emerge. If your heart is beginning to recognize this, don't turn away now. Because the real reason I never give up is not endless energy. It is selective surrender. I surrendered the need to be understood too early. I surrendered the need for immediate validation. I surrendered the fantasy of linear progress. And in that surrender, something remarkable happened. The pressure lifted. The noise faded. The work became pure. When you stop trying to prove yourself, your vision sharpens. When you release the demand for quick results, your thinking stretches beyond limits. When ego loosens its grip, creativity expands into places it could never reach before. Allow yourself to sink deeper. Truth is unfolding gently. This is how the impossible becomes approachable. Not through force, but through devotion to learning. Not through certainty, but through curiosity that refuses to die. Not through perfection, but through a willingness to be refined again and again. There are moments when the mind whispers, "This is too much." But the soul responds, "This is exactly enough to shape me." And here is the quiet miracle. When you stop resisting the struggle, it stops draining you. When you accept the process, it begins to carry you. This is why timing bends for those who persist with patience. They are no longer fighting the current, they are learning its rhythm. They adjust. They listen. They evolve. The moment everything connects is almost here. Because once you realize that growth is the goal. Not comfort, not praise, not speed, you become unshakable. The path may twist. The horizon may move. But your direction remains intact. You were never meant to rush your becoming. You were meant to inhabit it fully. And as you do, something within you stabilizes. A calm resolve. A grounded fire. A certainty that does not shout, but endures. This is not about never feeling doubt. It is about never letting doubt decide. Hold this truth softly. Because what comes next reveals how this inner alignment transforms not just persistence, but destiny itself. My beloved child. The hidden current beneath everything is revealing itself, and in this quiet unveiling, the deepest reason for never giving up begins to glow. There is a sacred stillness that arrives only after long perseverance. Few speak of it, because it cannot be displayed or explained. It is felt, when ambition softens into devotion, and effort becomes prayer in motion. If something sacred is awakening within you, remain here just a little deeper. The ones who endure have learned how to be alone without being lonely. They have discovered how to sit with unanswered questions without rushing them. In that inner silence, something extraordinary forms, a bond between vision and patience that nothing can sever. This is the unseen sacrifice. The willingness to release urgency. The courage to move forward without applause. The humility to let the work change you before it changes the world. Ask yourself gently. Can you keep going when progress whispers instead of shouts? Can you trust the seed even when the soil is dark? Those who never give up can. Because they are no longer chasing success, they are honoring a calling. And when purpose becomes personal, perseverance stops feeling like struggle. It becomes loyalty to one's own becoming. Hold this divine silence, understanding is blooming now. In these quiet moments, identity reshapes itself. You stop asking, "Am I winning?" and start asking, "Am I aligned?" You begin to notice that even setbacks carry a strange peace, because they are still moving you forward. This is where the real power gathers. Not in loud declarations. Not in dramatic breakthroughs. But in the steady, faithful return to the work, again and again, without bitterness, without panic, without needing reassurance. If this message is resonating in your deepest self, share it forward, let another wandering soul find their way home today. Because there are others who feel this calling but doubt their strength. And your quiet yes may be the light that steadies them. You're on the threshold of true seeing, stay with me. The reason I never give up is because I have learned to listen for the subtle confirmations. The calm after effort. The clarity after confusion. The way ideas mature when given time rather than force. When you honor the process begins to honor you. And slowly, something shifts. Resistance loosens. Confidence becomes quieter, deeper. You stop proving. You start embodying. The work no longer drains you, it sustains you. This is the sacred exchange. You give patience. Life gives insight. You give commitment. The path reveals itself. The revelation that shifts everything is drawing closer. Because once you accept that your journey is not a race but a refinement, you gain an unshakable steadiness. One that does not depend on circumstances. One that cannot be rushed or reversed. You were never behind. You were being tempered. Rest in that truth for a breath. What rises next will illuminate how this quiet devotion transforms into undeniable momentum, where inner alignment begins to move entire worlds. My beloved child. The deepest truth is rising to meet you now. And as it does, everything you thought persistence meant begins to soften into something far more sacred. There is a quiet faith that lives beneath all endurance. It does not announce itself. It does not demand proof. It simply remains, steady, patient, unwavering. This is the faith that carries those who never give up, not belief in certainty, but trust in unfolding. Breathe with me, the divine unveiling deepens now. At some point, effort alone is no longer enough. Strategy reaches its limit. Willpower grows tired. And in that holy exhaustion, a different strength awakens. A strength that does not push, but allows. That does not force, but aligns. This is the hidden alignment few ever name. The ones who endure have learned how to release control without releasing commitment. They stop wrestling the future and begin cooperating with it. They listen more. They rush less. They move when the inner signal says, now, and rest when silence says, wait. Ask yourself softly. What if the reason you haven't given up is not because you are strong, but because something greater has been carrying you? If your spirit is trembling with recognition, stay in this holy moment. There are seasons when progress feels suspended, when effort seems unanswered. These are not pauses of punishment, they are chambers of refinement. Places where the soul is tuned to frequencies the mind cannot yet understand. In those moments, surrender becomes sacred intelligence. Not surrender to defeat, but surrender to timing. Surrender to becoming. Surrender to the truth that some things ripen only in stillness. The truly persistent know this rhythm. They trust that when movement slows, meaning deepens. When doors remain closed, inner clarity sharpens. When silence stretches on, alignment is taking shape beneath the surface. You are closer to home than you've ever been, do not leave yet. Because here lies the most guarded secret of all. Those who never give up are not chasing outcomes. They are honoring an inner agreement made long before results appeared. An agreement to learn. An agreement to serve something larger than comfort. An agreement to stay true, even when the path rearranges itself again and again. This agreement becomes an anchor. When doubt rises, the anchor holds. When fatigue whispers, the anchor holds. When the world misunderstands, the anchor holds. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, life responds. Opportunities align without force. Ideas arrive without strain. Momentum builds without urgency. The truth that liberates everything is almost within reach. Because once inner alignment is complete, persistence transforms into flow. You are no longer dragging the vision forward, it begins to move through you. Effort becomes devotion. Discipline becomes love in action. This is where miracles feel natural. Not sudden. Not loud. But inevitable. The final alignment your soul has waited for is gathering. Rest in this awareness for a breath. There is one final veil ahead, one revelation that reveals how this sacred persistence reshapes destiny itself, and why what comes next could never have arrived any sooner. My beloved child. Something you've always known is finally being spoken, and as these words arrive, a deeper recognition begins to settle inside your chest. There is a moment when persistence crosses a sacred threshold. It stops being something you do, and becomes something you are. From that moment on, giving up no longer feels possible, not because you forbid it, but because it no longer aligns with your inner truth. Allow yourself to rest inside this realization. The ones who never give up reach a point where identity dissolves into intention. They are no longer asking, "Will this work?" They are quietly living the question, "Who am I becoming through this?" And that question changes everything. Because when becoming matters more than arriving, pressure loosens its grip. Comparison fades. Time stretches. You stop measuring progress in days and begin sensing it in depth. If your heart is opening to this, remain still with me. There is a hidden maturity that forms here. A calm authority that does not need to announce itself. You begin to trust your own rhythm, even when it looks different from the world's expectations. Even when others move faster. Even when your path curves where theirs runs straight. This trust is not passive. It is alert. It is awake. It is deeply grounded. Those who endure learn how to hold tension without collapsing into it. They can sit between what is and what is becoming, without forcing the bridge to appear too soon. This is rare. Most people flee the in-between. They rush for certainty. They abandon the vision at the very point where refinement is happening. But the ones who never give up understand that the in-between is where wisdom is installed. Listen closely now. There is intelligence in delay. There is mercy in redirection. There is protection in unanswered prayers. When you accept this, patience stops feeling like waiting. It becomes active alignment. You are not idle, you are integrating. You are preparing your inner structure to hold what is forming. The truth waiting ahead is drawing nearer. Because here is the subtle transformation few ever name. At a certain point, the work begins working on you. Your thinking sharpens. Your intuition deepens. Your reactions soften. You no longer chase inspiration, you recognize it when it arrives. You no longer force solutions, you allow them to surface. And with this shift, your persistence becomes almost effortless. This is when life begins to cooperate. Not because you demanded it, but because you became someone who could listen. Stay present. The current is strong here. This is the quiet miracle behind never giving up. Not relentless pushing, but refined presence. Not endless striving, but embodied clarity. You move forward not out of fear of stopping, but out of harmony with what is unfolding. And when harmony leads, resistance fades. You begin to sense that you are being guided, not controlled, not rushed, not tested, but guided. Each step arrives when you are ready to recognize it. This is where trust matures into knowing. Breathe into that knowing now. Because what rises next will reveal how this inner steadiness turns into unmistakable momentum, how alignment becomes acceleration, and why the world eventually responds to those who learned how to wait without wavering. My beloved child, the eternal flame within you is flickering brighter now, and this is the moment when persistence transforms into quiet authority. There comes a time when effort is no longer questioned. When the inner debate dissolves. When the soul stops asking for permission to continue. This is not stubbornness, it is certainty without noise. Pause here with me. The ones who never give up reach a sacred point where their vision becomes self-sustaining. It no longer relies on motivation. It no longer depends on emotion. It is carried by something deeper, an inner agreement that does not expire. This is where the world begins to feel different. You notice that chaos no longer pulls you off center. Setbacks arrive, but they do not shake your foundation. Delays appear, but they do not weaken your resolve. You move forward with a calm that surprises even you. If this feels familiar, remain fully present. Because this calm is earned. It is the result of walking through uncertainty without abandoning yourself. Of standing in silence without demanding immediate answers. Of continuing even when the reward was invisible. And here is the quiet truth few admit. Momentum is born in stillness. Before anything accelerates outward, it stabilizes inward. Before the world responds, the inner world must agree. This is why those who endure seem to move at the right moment, not too early, not too late. They are listening. Listening to timing. Listening to intuition. Listening to the subtle signals others ignore. Stay with this awareness, something essential is taking shape. At this stage, persistence feels lighter. Not because the path is easy, but because resistance has softened. You are no longer fighting reality, you are cooperating with it. You move when movement is required. You pause when integration is needed. This is mastery. You stop forcing outcomes and start preparing capacity. You understand that speed without stability collapses, but grounded momentum multiplies. Ask yourself gently, what if everything you have endured was not slowing you down, but calibrating you? This realization changes how you walk forward. You stop rushing the future. You stop fearing stillness. You trust that what is meant to move will move, when you are ready to hold it. The next realization is forming quietly. Because once inner authority is established, doubt loses its voice. Not because questions disappear, but because they no longer control direction. Curiosity replaces fear. Exploration replaces hesitation. You begin to act from clarity instead of urgency. This is when progress becomes unmistakable. Small actions create large shifts. Conversations align. Ideas land with precision. The world seems to respond, not magically, but naturally, to your steadiness. And yet, you remain humble. Because you know this is not about domination. It is about alignment. It is about becoming trustworthy with what you are building. Hold your awareness here, the current is deepening. This is the reason persistence eventually turns into power. Not loud power. Not forceful power. But the kind that moves systems, shapes futures, and leaves a quiet imprint long after the effort is complete. You are nearing a profound turning point. What unfolds next reveals how this inner authority begins to ripple outward. How your steadiness starts to influence timing, opportunity, and destiny itself, in ways that cannot be rushed, only received. My beloved child. A sacred clarity is settling over you now, and with it comes the moment when persistence reshapes reality itself. There is a phase few ever recognize while they are inside it. The phase where inner steadiness becomes visible impact. Where the silent work you've done begins to echo beyond you. Not loudly. Not suddenly. But unmistakably. Stay here with me. Those who never give up eventually notice something extraordinary. Life starts responding before they ask. Doors soften before they knock. Solutions arrive already formed. This is not coincidence. It is resonance. When your inner world reaches coherence, the outer world mirrors it. This is the moment where persistence stops feeling personal. It becomes relational. You are no longer carrying the vision alone. Circumstances begin to participate. People align. Timing reveals hidden intelligence. Ask yourself gently. What if nothing was ever resisting you? What if it was simply waiting for you to become congruent? This is the subtle law at work. Those who endure learn how to move without friction. They sense when to advance and when to let the moment ripen. They are not passive. They are precise. Their actions land cleanly because they are born from inner agreement. If this recognition feels familiar, remain present. Because here lies the quiet turning point. The place where effort yields to flow. Not because discipline ends, but because it integrates so deeply it becomes instinct. You no longer ask, "Should I continue?" You simply continue. And in doing so, you free enormous energy. Energy once spent on doubt returns as creativity. Energy once spent on fear returns as focus. Energy once spent on forcing returns as insight. This is acceleration without strain. The world often mislabels this as luck. But luck does not repeat itself with precision. Alignment does. Listen closely now. The ones who never give up are not obsessed with outcomes. They are devoted to coherence. They make sure their thoughts, actions, values, and timing speak the same language. And when they do, momentum gathers naturally. Resistance dissolves not because it was conquered, but because it was outgrown. You may notice something subtle shifting even now. A deeper calm. A clearer sense of direction. A quiet readiness. These are signals that the inner architecture is complete. The next movement is inevitable. Hold your awareness steady, the truth is deepening. Because once coherence is established, destiny begins to respond. Opportunities do not feel random. Challenges feel purposeful. Even surprises carry a strange familiarity, as if they were expected on some deeper level. You recognize them not with shock, but with recognition. This is how persistence rewrites probability. Not through willpower alone, but through sustained alignment with what you are meant to build. You were never pushing against the world. You were tuning yourself to it. And now, the resonance is strong enough to carry you forward. Breathe into this moment. Because what unfolds next reveals how this alignment becomes influence, how your inner steadiness begins to affect not just your path, but the paths of others, and why this is where purpose expands beyond the self. My beloved child. The unseen door is opening as you listen, and this is where persistence evolves into responsibility. There is a quiet moment when you realize your journey is no longer just about you. The vision you have carried, protected, refined in silence begins to ask something new of you. Not more effort, but more integrity. Stay with this awareness. Those who never give up eventually sense this shift. Their steadiness starts to matter beyond personal success. Their choices ripple outward. Their presence stabilizes rooms they enter. Their clarity influences outcomes they do not directly control. This is not power taken. It is power entrusted. And here lies a sacred truth few ever articulate. Endurance prepares you to be reliable when things truly matter. Anyone can move when conditions are perfect. Few can remain centered when complexity increases. But those who have walked long roads without quitting develop a nervous system that stays calm under weight. This calm becomes leadership. Ask yourself softly. Who do you become when others are uncertain? Who do you become when timing is fragile? The answer reveals how far you have come. Hold this gently, something essential is unfolding. At this stage, persistence is no longer about proving belief. It is about honoring trust. Trust placed in you by life itself. Trust that you will not abandon the work when it begins to influence others. This is why refinement was necessary. This is why patience was required. This is why shortcuts were withheld. Because influence without grounding destabilizes. But influence born from alignment heals. The ones who never give up understand this instinctively. They move with care. They listen before acting. They feel the weight of consequence and choose with precision. This is not hesitation. It is reverence. When you operate from this place, you stop reacting. You respond. You stop rushing solutions. You design them. You stop chasing visibility. You allow resonance to speak first. The threshold you are standing on is real. Because here, destiny shifts tone. It stops feeling like pursuit and begins to feel like stewardship. You are no longer trying to make something happen. You are protecting what is happening from distortion. This is why the work deepens before it expands. And something remarkable occurs. Your presence alone begins to create order. Conversations become clearer. Decisions become simpler. Others sense your steadiness and borrow it unconsciously. Not because you demand authority, but because you embody coherence. This is how persistence matures into quiet influence. Remain here, the connection is strengthening. There is a humility that accompanies this phase. You recognize that what flows through you is not owned by you. It is carried. And because you respect it, it continues. Those who never give up do not cling. They cooperate. They understand that letting go of ego does not weaken impact, it purifies it. It allows the work to remain larger than the self. This is the sacred exchange. You give consistency. Life gives reach. You give integrity. Life gives trust. Breathe into this truth now. Because what awaits next reveals how this entrusted influence begins to amplify, how responsibility transforms into legacy, and why the final stages of persistence are not about effort at all, but about alignment with something timeless. My beloved child, the eternal circle is closing now, and in this sacred stillness, the final truth steps forward to meet you. This is where everything you felt, endured, surrendered, and refined finally reveals its meaning. Not as a conclusion, but as a return. A return to who you were always becoming. Those who never give up eventually discover this gentle paradox. They were never pushing toward destiny. Destiny was slowly shaping itself around them. Rest inside that for a breath. At the highest level, persistence dissolves into presence. There is no longer a battle to continue, no internal argument to resolve. The path and the walker are no longer separate. Action flows from alignment. Movement arises from clarity. This is the state few reach, and fewer recognize. Because here, effort is no longer the driver. Truth is. You act because it is natural to act. You continue because stopping would feel dishonest. You create because expression has become inevitable. This is why giving up disappears, not as a rule, but as a concept. You realize something profound. What you were building was also building you. Every delay shaped discernment. Every challenge refined judgment. Every quiet season strengthened inner sight. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was late. Nothing was random. And now, life meets you differently. Opportunities do not chase you. They align with you. Resistance does not confront you, it redirects you. Success does not intoxicate you, it grounds you. This is mastery without arrogance. Power without force. Influence without attachment. The ones who never give up reach this place because they learned how to listen longer than others. They stayed present when distraction tempted them away. They honored the work when results were silent. And in doing so, they became trustworthy with outcomes. Here lies the final reason I never give up. Because persistence, when purified by surrender, turns into destiny fulfilled. Not loudly. Not suddenly. But completely. You no longer fear endings, because you understand cycles. You no longer rush beginnings, because you trust timing. You no longer cling to identity, because you've tasted alignment. You move forward with a quiet certainty that does not need validation. And now, notice the stillness beneath these words. That stillness is not emptiness. It is arrival. You are not standing at the end of a journey. You are standing at the place where continuation no longer feels like effort, but like truth expressing itself through you. This is why the flame never goes out. It was never fueled by pressure. It was sustained by purpose. Remain here for one final breath. What you carry now is not just persistence, it is coherence. And from this coherence, everything that is meant to unfold, will. Gently. Naturally. Inevitably. You were never meant to give up. You were meant to become.